Silence. A simple phrase that has countless depths. It can convey a lot of meaning depending how it's said. Intonation, stress, volume, all can be manipulated to project different meanings. It could be said in a whisper in a horror movie to project suspense. Silence. Or it could be said by a teacher to demand silence from the students. Silence! So, speech has many functions. Assalamualaikum and welcome to EG13 Talk. Speech functions are typically divided into six, which are metalinguistic, referential, expressive, poetic, phatic, and directive. Another factor related to speech is politeness. It exists in every interaction of communication we make with others, with family, friends, peers, seniors, elders, children, etc. You name it. We have different ways to pronounce ourselves to them as well as how we call them, which differentiates our standing and their standing. Politeness varies not only between individuals, different cultures also have different standards of politeness. Which leads to the next point, cross-cultural communication. Different cultures have many different ways to express politeness, even their social standings. Hence, understanding speech functions, politeness, and the different cultural standards is crucial in order to communicate properly and to maintain social relationships, businesses, and respect towards each other. For 67 years, Malaysia has celebrated independence as a multicultural country with many races united. According to Benjamin Elisha Sawe, 2019, the demographic composition in the country are as follows. 50.1% of the population are Malay, 22.6% are Chinese, 11.8% are indigenous Bumiputra groups other than Malays, 6.7% are Indian, and other groups account for 0.7%. Non-citizens account for 8.2% of Malaysia's resident population. In this case, speech functions, politeness, and cross-cultural communication plays a pivotal role to maintain social stability and harmony within the country. Today's talk is to focus on enhancing our comprehension on speech functions, politeness, and cross-cultural communication by reviewing two related articles by Dom Vocal and Nkirode, which are our two guests for today.
Thank you, Nazrin, our host, for inviting me to this talk. So to summarize my article, the findings reveal a significant gap in understanding pragmatics of politeness across different cultures, contexts, and methodologies. A preliminary empirical review showed substantial variations in politeness strategies, shaped by cultural norms and social structures. High context cultures prevalent in many Asian and African nations tend to use indirect communication and non-verbal cues to express politeness. Whereas low context cultures, such as those in the US and Western Europe, favors directness and clarity. Additionally, the concept of power distance is critical, with high power distance cultures exhibiting deference through formal language, in contrast to low power distance cultures that promote egalitarianism and informality. These findings highlight the importance of cultural sensitivity in international businesses, education, and diplomacy. Advocating for adaptable communication skills to foster mutual understandings. The study recommends expanding theoretical models to include diverse cultural contexts, enhancing intercultural communication training programs, and incorporating these principles into national education curriculum. It also calls for continuous empirical research to keep theoretical models and practical application relevant and responsive to the evolving global landscape. The study suggests utilizing theoretical framework such as politeness theory, speech acts theory, and face negotiation theory for future research. Recommendations include broadening theoretical models to include diverse cultural contexts, enhancing intercultural communication training, and incorporating these principles into national education curriculum. The study emphasized the need for organizations to develop clear communication guidelines that honor cultural differences and for diplomatic training to prioritize cultural awareness. It also calls for ongoing empirical research to ensure the relevance of both theoretical models and practical application in cultural communication. This study explores the pragmatics of politeness in cross-cultural communities using a desktop research methodology. The finding reveals a contextual methodological gap in understanding politeness strategies across cultures. High culture conveys politeness through indirect communication and nonverbal cues, while low context cultures emphasizes directness and clarity. Power displays crucial roles, with high power distance cultures showing deference to authority through formal language, unlike low power distance cultures that favors egalitarianism and informality.
Thank you for our hosts for giving me this opportunity, and now we will look at one of my article. This article explores the complex relationship between communication and behavior, particularly how it functions within various cultural, linguistic, and social contexts. The introduction emphasized the communication in crucial transmitting crucial knowledge, but often face a barrier due to difference in meaning perception, even among seemingly humongous community. The article outlines three perspectives on communication as the meaning of information transfer, a system involving symbolic interaction, and a psychological behavior involving non-verbal cues such as posture and facial expression. It highlights that communication is not just a verbal but also attitudes and gesture. The discussion on communicative behavior emphasizes the dynamic and evolving nature of language. Barriers such as stereotype, class, and status difference are seen as obstacles for understanding. Physical and social settings, along contextual factors, shape the way messages are interpreted, and communication style and vary depending on social role of the participant. The problem statement presents the communication behavior connection as a model with multiple interacting components: source, message, channel, receiver, feedback, and context. It explains how nonverbal and verbal behavior convey meaning both consciously and unconsciously, influenced by individual experience and cultural backgrounds. The research question focused on psychological and social aspects, speech acts, including communicative intention, purpose, and mindfulness, as well as status, role, and communication style. The study aims to analyze this component through Delheim's speaking model, which is provide framework for understanding how communication unfolds in different settings. Overall, this article provides an in-depth analysis of communication as both behavioral and contextual process, offering insight into how meaning is constructed and interpreted across various cultural and linguistic contexts.
Thank you to our host for inviting me today. I hope that our discussion today will surely help us in comprehension of this topic. So, from both studies, it could be concluded that there are various of theories that connected with the speech discourse. For instance, the Riboka introduced the speech act theory and utilized the Delheim speaking model to conduct research, mainly focusing on communication behavior. On the other hand, Enkirote further introduced various theories such as politeness theory, face negation theory, and speech act theory as well. In the comparison of methodologies, Dobrivoka applied Delheim speaking model to obtain the findings of, like I said before, communication behavior. This method of research is a hands-on approach where the respondents were interviewed in a hall or room, also known as rational setting. This so-called rational setting can be modified according to any cultural or societal context. The purpose of this method was to analyze discourse as a series of speech acts, which is components of speech events within a certain context. This method was very productive and useful for analyzing all kinds of discourse in speech. While for Enkirote, the use of desktop research methodology was adopted. This approach did not require any fieldwork like what Debrivoka did, but this method rather collecting all of the secondary data from the existing sources. This method was low cost approach and can be easily to be applied. Of comparison of the findings, and Kirote found that the findings indicate a contextual and methodological gap relating to the pragmatics of politeness in cross-cultural communities. The initial analysis discovered notable variation in politeness strategies between cultures, emphasizing the influence of cultural norms, values, and social structures on communication. On the other hand, Dobrivoka stated that the communication behavior connection is highly dependent on communicative components. It functions within different contexts, the culture's view of a sender and a recipient. In other words, a relationship depends heavily on various communicative elements, how they function in different situations, and the culture's perspective of both the sender, and the recipient of the message. By that means, both of the research findings complement each other by stating that communication is closely related to behavior.
In conclusion, this review has examined two significant articles exploring the intricate dynamics of communication, speech functions, and politeness in cross-cultural contexts. Rabikova's exploration of the communication behavior connection emphasizes the vital role of context and cultural perspectives in understanding communicative acts, showcasing the complexity of human interaction. In contrast, Inkirote's investigation into the pragmatics of politeness highlights the disparities in communication strategies across high context and low context cultures, revealing the influence of societal norms on politeness expressions. Both studies underscore the necessity of cultural sensitivity in effective communication, particularly in a multicultural setting like Malaysia. While Robikova's work provides a foundational understanding of communicative components, Inkirote's insights into the pragmatic aspects of politeness offer practical implications for fields such as international business and diplomacy. Although each article presents its strengths, Rabikova's detailed analysis versus Inkirote's clear structure and relevance, their findings collectively contribute to a richer understanding of communication dynamics. As global interactions continue to evolve, further research that incorporates diverse cultural contexts and methodologies will be essential in fostering effective communication strategies that respect and bridge cultural differences. This ongoing inquiry will not only enhance interpersonal relationships but also promote social harmony in increasingly diverse societies. That's all from EG13 Talk today. Assalamualaikum.